and my name is J. Interference simply. But the truth is, and the constant lives through continuums, dimensions, and infinities that pi, ground or sky, that is why to learn in education that burns positive, no matter what the subject or the language, linguistics, are wall breakers. That's why sound of a font is only the start of the straight line. But the continuum, especially in time and space, with the grace of infinities, is the way to learn the ABCs. I'm not talking about an intelligence quantum or quantum in physics of geo and astro. What I said is, you don't have to be a genius. You can learn when the drive burns to know more the right way. And yes, it can burn the other way. But the contrast of good is like a negative burning of wood. Instead of progressing, you're regressing beyond your own base root. You enter into the negative loop. Negative energy, negative life, negative splice, negative infinities, and negative consumes. That means delete, erase, destroy. Derogative toy, negative is. You can play with it as long as you live. But when you die, Will you die? I said, as long as you live. Which means negativity consumes, destroys, deletes, degenerate, and falsifies the positive. And that's where you go over by in narcissism. Your vision is no longer your root, whatever your root. For humans, it's called 2020. It's a very important point. Because to see less can be trouble. And to see more can be trouble too. When you eliminate the root, whatever the root, it is not real anymore. Even though it stores atoms, even though it evolves atoms, it's not the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if it's not the truth, if it's not real, but you might say, I'm not real either. They tell me I came from a fantasy and I'm going to another fantasy. And science says, oh wait, BBT, XYZ, 1, 2, 3. Which means you came from a fantasy also. So you don't know. And so you say, that Z is A. And the contrast is the way. The degrees of the circle is what make a cucumber circles. An acid rain, an alkaline soil, the poison water, the poison air, the poison ground, the poison flare of its spaces. Negativity consumes, destroys, deletes, deteriorates, defeats everything. It undo everything, even you. Even who, what, where, when, why. Is that a void? An empty, nothing void of dark and light, day and night. Nothing living, nothing to die, so nothing's dead. Just nothing. Was at the beginning. Is that going to be the end? When a miracle made everything begin from nothing, dark and light, put them together and said day and night, complementing contrasts, true positive, the ever blessed. A miracle to make contrast complement itself. A complementing contrast is a beautiful ever blessed. That's why opposites attract. But unfortunately, there's a W. Another contrast. Because in the universe it takes two. But do you have to be a double you? When two V's in Siamese is a W2, that's 4 U's. Do's, you's, have to. In the solar system of the sun, the energy, positive and negative, real and virtual, takes the W, the U Siamese, and the V Siamese, and it squeeze the slaveries of 4. And it says UV. Fire and ice, water and dirt, And yes, life and death. But it holds in its hand one you. It'll never let you understand. Do you know why? Because if man knows everything, and its combinations of variables and equations of life and death, build and destroy all the contrasts, girl and boy, then man, knowing or unknowing, willing and unwilling, can destroy everything. Destroy, delete, eliminate, defeat, derogatory, negativity. Not knowing and knowing. Because some of them want to use you, some of them want to abuse you, some of them want to destroy everything. Because it is the negative. Because it just is. It's not logical. You'll never understand. In a cosmos, galaxy, system, rooted P of positivity. P, positive. Negative is illogical. And it has no converting contrast, because positive is positive and negative is negative. But one consumes and destroys. Heading for nothing. Nowhere, no time, nobody. No. And the other, progression. Builds, elevates, continuum. Even through the illogical pi. And I say, Simple Simon said to the pieman, once upon a time, once upon a space, in the magic kingdom, Logic has no grace. But if you take EMC square and symbolize the two that's there, the square can be made to be an E, and E is a key. And through the door of pi, illogical can be, if it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Pi, infinity sky, illogical, but since men don't know everything, and there's no such thing as 100%. Can you tell me? Everything? If you try to logic the sky of any and every unknown, you will sit on a throne of untruth, the whole untruth, and nothing but untruth. If you are root and a positive, that is the way you should grow. That is the way you should continue on, even if you don't grow, but exist with upgrades and nanites. If you are root of a negative system and somehow got into a positive place, system, negativity consumes. even unto itself. And if you are positive and trapped by a negative, will you let it consume you before it consumes itself? And it will. Or will you delete unto yourself in a positive self where it will never touch you, even after you infinity? So whatever the story, and until the time, and to know there is a miracle to the time. Do you give thanks? Even in the negative place, give thanks for your positive, because you are a positive and always will be, even through the fire of negativity. Negative. Is not System 3. The solar system of the sun, universe, galaxies, 2 to 1, cosmos, infinity. Man, woman, birth, death, infinity. So many tell you when the end of the world will happen and how it will happen. But there are many false positives that are real and feel like the fact. But the equation that you are still can take a bitter pill and a little bit of sugar. Makes the medicine go down. And if you get a pound of sugar, you should say, thank you to whoever played a part in that beautiful, beautiful, positive. They say you can't breathe in outer space, but they go to that place and somehow they breathe. And now it is said you can't breathe on the ground. But guess what? A miracle was found. It's not a cure-all, it's not a magic pill, but it lets you live in positive. And you can still breathe on the ground. One little bitty keeps you alive and happy and in continuum of life. One little bitty. But do you think twice and realize how lucky and blessed you are? Because without that one thing, one little thing, every human being would have to become catatonic, afraid, sad, and dying. And from that one thing, more can be built upon it to eliminate the problem. The sight, be it audible or virtual, no. The visual of the eye and the visual of the ear and the visual of the brain and the virtual of the plane is 2020. Two millenniums came and 3 are on their way. Did that give you another 1,000 years to play? To be or not to be? If you can't see what I just said, I'm telling you that Pluto is red and Mars is black. And Saturn is the sun. and Pluto is the moon. CC 2020 Corona Corbin. AD centuries. C20 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 positive, C20 negative regressing to 19. Then 18 when you got your freedom completely. But in regression, you'll go to 17, 16, consuming itself to 0. And back to infinity you go. But this time, all the instants of time that I just used, I tried not to abuse, just to say. If your root is positive, try to find positive way and see what you have, not what you don't have. And be glad that you are still and not deceased in a negative defeats. And once upon a time, is a storyline that they use for babies. But you know what? Today is today. And tomorrow is not promised in any way. And yesterday is just a memory play on your drive. My poetry, my works, my way. This is just my journal entry today. December, the last month of 2020. Coronas, Corbett, Cece, what will be an AA on January 1, 2021, New Year's Day. And my name is Jay. My poetry